Hey, this is Notser, and today we're talking ship news. Wargaming has teased 4 brand new blacked out versions of ships that will be released this Black Friday for 2019. I've always enjoyed the blacked out camo, the Massachusetts, the Asashio from last year. They look great, and clearly the Scharnhorst on screen looks awesome. We'll take a closer look at that. We've got the Legendary Commander for the Italians. They show off some of the personalization, the tracer color, the flag, the flare color. But we also get the 2 special passive ability enhancements, similar to the Expert Marksman or the Survivability Expert of previous unique/legendary commanders. We also get to take a look at the Italian Navy emblems, which haven't been in the game ever, and to my knowledge, we haven't been able to have any progress go towards that. So when 8.9 comes out is the first opportunity that we can earn these emblems so that we can show them off in-game if we so choose. And then finally, I'm going to talk through some of the changes to test ships which have been recently tested. So, first up, the Black Friday versions of these ships. We get the Sims B, the Scharnhorst B, the Alaska B, and the Graf Zeppelin. Now, I don't know how the Alaska B is going to be sold, because that is a Tier 9 premium, but for the rest of them, they're doubloon ships that have been in the shop many times, and with Black Friday, you get a blacked out version of it, and you normally get 30% or 20% off. That's what it was previously. It is classified as a different ship, but it looks spectacular. I love the blacked out camo. Here's the Scharnhorst up close. They always do a great job. It is clearly crafted for the ship. It's not some lazy camo skin that just overlays on a secondary texture. This is actually assigned. You got chrome, steel, you got matte, glossy, all that stuff around the ship to make it look really outstanding. And you'll note that the Scharnhorst has a nice red iron cross. Really, really outstanding. I love the blacked out versions. They haven't said whether they're doing anything different from previous years. And in previous years, you could only buy this special black version of the ship, completely separate from maybe the ship that you have in your inventory, but you do get a sale price normally for the blacked out variant, so you're not completely screwed out of something. And I think last year there was some missions that if you were to complete them on the old ship, you got doubloons to sort of offset the cost. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but visually it looks amazing. I honestly can't wait to see what the Alaska B and the Graf Zeppelin look like. Sims is obviously a DD and it'll look cool, but it's a small little DD. There's not a lot that you can change. So, the Legendary Commander for the Italians. He's going to have some unique traits. First up, he's going to have a blue flag with what looks like a star, maybe a blade and something else. I don't know the exact reference to this, but I'm sure this is some military emblem that's used by the Italians, and it's appropriate for this ship commander. So I'm not exactly aware of this. I'll look it up after this, of course. We also have Italian tracers. Now, this might be controversial. I'm going to show you a closer zoom of this, but the astute observer might note that it looks like there's green, white, and red colors here. And you would be absolutely correct. This is pretty intense if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to be honest. Yeah, I'm just going to be like, no, it's normal. I don't know about this one, Wargaming. I like the tracer, and it would stand to reason that maybe players would like the tracers more if they represented the faction more completely. Maybe showing the colors of their flag in the tracer color itself. But it's a lot of detail on the screen, and it kind of conceals what's going on. There's just a lot of blurriness, a lot of green, whites, and red, and all of it layered on top of each other. It looks a little busy. So I'm curious to see how this plays out in game. If Wargaming is up for it, they might consider changing it slightly, maybe go green or red, based on obviously the Italians. I think either one of those colors would work for them. This is pushing the limit of what I think the gamers of the World of Warship game and the tracer color might be okay with by default in the game. We'll see. And then finally, we've got the flare color. It's green, no big deal, you know, the flare goes up whenever you activate a passive, and we've heard about the passives before. It's on another example, but I do want to highlight the two passives that the commander will have additional enhancement. First being the expert loader skill. Instead of 50%, it's going to be 75%, and from my experience, this is a must-take for the Italians, especially the cruiser line, because the reload is so long, and you will have to switch ammo depending on the type of target and the armor that is presented to you. It's a win-win for the Italians. The second skill, torpedo acceleration. Now, it's going to be 7 knots instead of 5. The normal torpedo reduction still remains 20. And I'm not really sold on this. 2-knot faster torpedoes is a very small buff, especially when you consider 75% is the benefit of the expert loader, 25% improved over the regular. This is merely increasing the speed of the torpedoes by 2 knots. I don't know if I'm really feeling that. And on top of that, it doesn't really make sense as a skill that you would take for Italian cruisers anyway. You wouldn't want to give up the range because that's one of the advantages. You can still torpedo. And with torpedo acceleration, well, you can't. But it might be a perfect skill for the Italian DD line whenever it comes out. Hint, hint, hint. Also, the Italian emblems, they will be added, but they will only be added in 8.10. So 8.9 is the early access for the Italians. 8.10 is happening sometime in November. That is when we will expect to see the emblems, and here's a great example of the emblems. We've got sort of a silver eagle, and then they implement a little bit of green, white, and red flag tabard behind it, and it becomes golden, and then it becomes really golden with enhancement. Very cool, honestly, very Italian. I think it's a great feeling emblem, and I think any player that is Italian or enjoys Italian cruisers or Italian ships would be happy to earn these and show them off in game. I've always enjoyed the emblem system. I think it looks great. It's a really nice touch. I think they look good. And some people in the past have been asking, you know, what do the Italian emblems look like? Well, here we go. Here's the example. And this is all related to just primarily 8.10. Just to clarify, because the commander, the legendary Italian commander, does not come out until 8.10. You can't even earn it until 8.10. Same with the emblems. And then, of course, we have the Black Friday stuff. Black Friday is in November. Now, let's talk about ship changes to test ships, because this one is interesting. Now, the most notable, the American cruiser Puerto Rico. The Tier 10 American cruiser that has recently been tested is getting a Sigma buff. It's going from 1.9 to 2.2. Now, that is a very significant Sigma buff. You will absolutely notice that the accuracy will be improved on these guns, and that is the one glaring issue that most players who tested it noticed. I, of course, noted that when I was testing it, but I figured that it was just a volume of fire. It's a loosely designed battleship with the 305 battlecruiser gun system, and it feels like playing the Montana, but with smaller gun caliber and higher rate of fire. But having this extra accuracy, this is pushing the ship into steel territory to me. I think that prior to this change, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a coal ship or a free XP ship. Including this change, though, it has to be a steel ship. Wargaming has to envision the Puerto Rico is competing with the Yoshino and the Stalingrad directly. And both of those ships, to my knowledge, especially the Stalingrad, was steel. What was the Yoshino? Man, I think the Yoshino was coal. Anyway, the Puerto Rico is going to be hyper competitive with this improvement. It's going to just drop a ton of 305 caliber gun shells everywhere. It's millimeter gun shell everywhere. It's a much more accurate ship. It's even just HE, AP, it's just very scary because of this change, and I can't wait to test it. Not sure of the total improvement. It's not 2.65 like the Stalingrad, but it is a nice noticeable buff. The mines, this is the light cruiser German Hipper. At Tier 8, it's getting a bow and aft armor nerf from 27 to 25. Wargaming's thought, it's a light cruiser. It should have light cruiser features. Whatever that means. I figured that the Germans and the Americans had the extra armor on their bow so that they could tank better. I didn't think that it was really related to the fact that it was a light cruiser or a heavy cruiser, but then again, you look at the Worcester, it obviously has less armor. So this is a change that they're making. A little concerned that the rate of fire is not good enough. We'll know when we actually test the ship, which I expect to have in my inventory in 8.9 or a little bit after the release, which should be this Wednesday. The Italian cruisers received notable buffs. The Tier 1 got a reload buff from 4.5 to 3.5, nice change. Tier 2, 13 seconds to 12. Tier 3, 13 seconds to 12 as well. I've tested all of these ships, and I have to say, we really needed those buffs to reload. But, also testing those ships, I noted that the Tier 3 and the Tier 4 had almost 1-to-1 air detectability to the air AA range. So by nerfing this, and it is a nerf from 4 to 5.1 kilometers, there is going to be a dead zone, like all the other Italians, where air can keep them spotted, even if the Italian is not firing their gun. So it's just a built-in weakness of the Italians, and they're clarifying that at Tier 3 and Tier 4 in that regard. The Tier 5 is getting a reload nerf from 13 to 14.3 seconds, and a torpedo reload nerf from 47 to 55 seconds. The Tier 6 is getting a reload buff. So overall, the ships that were super weak got buffs to reload. The ship that was a little bit stronger than the competition, notably the premium, got a little bit of a nerf. I'll take most of the buffs just so that the play experience for the player is better. Because really, these ships in particular, the reload was really frustrating. And it should not be quite as frustrating for the initial players who get a chance to test these guys. Well, not test, they're going to be out in 8.10. But for players that are working themselves up through the Italian cruiser line, there should be a little less frustration. So I think overall, very interesting changes. The Puerto Rico one, we've got to see. Because the Puerto Rico has 12 305mm guns, the most of any Tier 10 battlecruiser. All the other ones have 9, and it has the 50mm threshold of penetration because it is 305. So it's going to be pretty effective against pretty much anything that has 50 or below with HE, and the improved accuracy. You could imagine Des Moines and other cruisers, Moskva, even the Stalingrad, showing a perfect broadside. That American AAP with that kind of accuracy, we could see some really big numbers from the Puerto Rico. So I'm very excited to test that out. I expect to get all of these ships, outside of maybe the Italian cruisers, in 8.9 when we get the patch update, and we'll get to see exactly what the ramifications for the changes actually mean. It's pretty exciting though. I think the black versions of these ships are awesome. I, of course, am looking forward to the Legendary Commander, and I can't wait to play all these when they get released in the very near future. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You could take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.